Yeah, perfect. So today's agenda will be, so in the last class, we had finished unit 1 of Indian Partnership Act. We finished discussing the questions. I had also shared with you unit 2 and unit 3 concept videos, quick revision videos. I hope you watched them and read the textbook also. So today our agenda will be to discuss questions from unit 2 and 3 of Indian Partnership Act and take your doubts in the end of the session. So I'll quickly start with, I'll share the handout. I'll give you all a minute time to go through the true or false. So I'm sharing the handout, guys. Take a minute time. Please go through the true or false question and try to answer all the 10 true or false. Okay, let's start discussing, guys. Given you enough time. Who wants to read? Like, I'll just pick somebody to read the questions for us. So Shrishtika, I'll unmute you. Can you read the questions for us?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Shrishtika.
A partner may retire with the consent of majority of the partners.
Answer.
False.
Yeah. So answer for first question is false, because a partner can retire if he wants to retire. No other partner can stop him. Even if there are 100 partners, let's say there are 15 partners in a partnership firm. If one partner wants to leave, and if the remaining 14 partners are objecting this, he can still leave because it is his choice. Therefore, first answer is false. Read the second one.
Dissolution of firm necessarily means dissolution of partnership. False.
Answer, Grace, for second one. Now, in unit 3, we learn the concept dissolution of firm and dissolution of partnership. If you see over there, it says dissolution of partnership will only be admission, retirement, etc. But dissolution of firm is closing the firm altogether. So dissolution of firm includes dissolution of
True,
partnership.
true. Yeah.
So our second one answer is true. So others are giving me correct answers. Kriti, Soumya, good correct answer. Next one.
In case of an emergency, in order to prevent losses to the firm, a partner may exceed his implied or express authority.
Answer guys. Third one. So in section 21 says, in case of emergency, a partner can do such acts which are beyond his powers, but not everything. Now you might ask, sir, what is emergency? Now let's say, for example, there's a restaurant, and let's say there are three partners, A, B, and C. A has the entire power, B and C don't have any power. To only A has the keys. One particular day A went out of station, so keys was given to B. He said he'll come back next day, but because of the lockdown, what happened? People were not able to travel. So in case of emergency, the other two partners can do such acts to save the restaurant's business, even though they don't have the power. So answer for C is also true. So everybody are giving me true. Correct. Next question.
Every partner cannot take part in the conduct of the business.
Answer. Answer
False.
is false. Every partner has right to take part in conduct of business unless expressly in the agreement they have agreed that this he's a sleeping partner. Okay. So first answer is false. Second, third is true. Fourth is false. Can you read the next one?
Implied authority can be restricted or extended by mutual agreement.
Answer
True.
guys for question number E. So implied authority we learned in section 18 and 19. Act is telling what is implied authority. However, it can be restricted from what is there in the act. It can also be extended by mutual agreement between the partners. Very much allowed. Answer is true. Next one.
Property of the firm shall be held and used by the partner exclusively for the purposes of the business. True.
Very much true. Let's say as partnership has a car for transporting of partners or customers. Partner cannot use that car for his personal trip purpose. It has to be used exclusive purpose of business. Next.
An insolvent partner ceases to be a partner on the date on which an application for insolvency is made.
Answer. So the question here is, let's say this is the timeline. Application for insolvency might be made on, let's say, 10th October, but actually he might be declared insolvent, let's say on 10th of December. Now the question is, will he be considered insolvent from the date court declares him or from the date application is made? Answer for G guys.
False.
Correct answer is false. If you see the provision, it says on the day on which this declared order for insolvency is received. Next.
When a partner has become unsound mind, a suit for dissolution may be brought by a friend of that partner.
Answer.
I'm not sure, sir.
Follow guys. See, if a partner has become unsound mind, let's say there are three partners A, B, and C. C has become unsound mind. Now he is not able to take decisions. Now, obviously, because C is not able to take decisions, his legal representative or legal heir or any person appointed by him, his power of attorney, if any, they can bring a suit for dissolution by the firm. Now, here the question is, if his friend is a legal heir or a power of attorney, then he can do it. Otherwise, the answer is false. No, just a random person cannot do it, but it should be his legal representatives or something. Next.
After the dissolution of the firm, the authority of each partner to bind the firm does not continue at all.
Answer.
False.
Answer is false. Obviously, because after dissolution of firm, the authority to bind each partner does not continue at all. It does continue. If you see the provision, it continues until winding up. It continues until winding up. So follow very carefully, guys. Dissolution and winding up are not the same. For example, a firm might decide to wind up on this, dissolve on this day. Decision might be taken on this day, but the actual winding up might take 3 months time. So until the winding up is concluded, until all the assets are sold and liabilities are paid, during that period of winding up also, partners will bind each other. There's separate provision also for that. So answer for question I is false. Next one.
An outgoing partner may carry on a business competing with that of the firm and he may advertise such business.
Answer.
False.
Question number J, answer guys. Others type your answers. Now here they're saying Outgoing partner, let's say there's a restaurant called Sangeeta Restaurant serving fast food. One of the partner wants to leave and start another similar restaurant business. Can he do so? Absolutely yes. If you want to restrict your partner from doing competing business or other business, you have to clearly mention in the agreement. And also that agreement cannot be like forever I am restricting him. No, forever restriction is not right. It should be reasonable restriction, like within the same area or within the same city or within next 5 kilometers radius or for the next 3 years period. Some small restriction should be given. Otherwise, you cannot restrict him forever. So normally outgoing partner can carry on the business and he may advertise such business unless there is another clause for that. So answer for J is true. So how many of you got 9 out of 10 or 10 on 10? Anyone? Yeah, good score. So let's proceed to next question. Shrishtika, thank you Shrishtika for reading. I'm requesting all the students to turn your video off. Video is not required for the class. So every time you turn the video on, it comes in the recording. So I don't think it's needed. So you can turn it out, turn it off. Sorry, the last question, J answer is true. Outgoing partner may carry on the business of competing business firm and he may advertise his business. Last J answer is true. Okay. So now let's proceed to second question. Can I have who will read? Yeah. Okay, I'll give Darshita for reading. Just a second. Darshita, can you read question number 2 for us?
Yes, sir. Sure. Good evening, sir.
Aditi, I'll give you next question. Yeah, go ahead, Darshita. Good.
Yes, sir. X, Y, and Z are partners in a partnership firm. They were carrying their business successfully for the past several years. Spouses of X and Y fought in ladies' club on their personal issues, and X-wife was hurt badly. X got angry on the incident and he convinced Z to expel Y from their partnership firm. Y was expelled from partnership without any notice.
I think we lost her. Okay, so Y was expelled from partnership firm without any notice from X and Z. Considering the provisions of Indian Partnership Act, state whether they can expel the partner from the firm. What is the criteria to test good faith in such circumstances? So take a minute time, guys. Please go through the question. So answer, everybody are giving the answers. Yes. Can they expel? No, they cannot expel. For that, you have to go read the provision of expulsion of a partner. What are they saying? Very, very important for exam, guys. This concept in Partnership Act is very important. Expulsion of a partner. I explained in the video also separately in detail. Very, very important. Partner can be expelled only for 3 reasons. We have given those 3 reasons over there. And he should also be, if for good faith, test for good faith is he should be given opportunity of being heard, and it should be for the benefit of partnership, for the good interest of partnership, and it should also give a notice. Now if you see here, they want to expel the partner because of what issue? Because the wife of the partners, the spouse of partners fought in a ladies club. This is a personal issue of the partners. You cannot expel the partner for your personal issues, therefore expulsion here is not valid. This is the answer for question number 2. In exam, how do you write this? Very simple, guys. These questions you should be able to easily write them. First, you will write the facts. This full paragraph you will summarize and write in 2 lines. How, what to write and summarize in 2 lines? You just write the spouse of X and Y fought in a ladies club because of the personal issues. X's wife was badly hurt. X got angry on the incident and he convinced Z to expel Y from the firm. Is this expulsion valid? That's all. You'll write 2 to 3 lines maximum. See, question might be for 5 or 6 lines, but it is very much possible to summarize the entire question in 2 to 3 lines. Next, you will write the provision. What is the provision? provision in relation to expulsion of partner. Entire provision, whatever is there in the provision, what you know, full provision you will explain as if it is a normal theory question. Explain the provision. Next, you will come to analysis. You will write, analyzing the above provision and the facts, we can understand that expulsion of the partner was done because of personal reasons and it did not comply with the provisions of the Partnership Act as provided above. So you can give your analysis over here. Then conclusion you will write. Based on the above analysis, we can conclude that such expulsion is not valid. That's all. If you write like this, you will get your full 4 out of 4. Now, should you write in exam side heading facts under that the points, side heading provision under that points? See, side headings are not required. When I say facts, provision, analysis, conclusion, first paragraph should be facts, second para should be expulsion, third para should be analysis, fourth para should be conclusion. So let me again summarize the answer. The answer is partner cannot expel. You cannot expel because it is for personal reason. For expulsion, you have to comply with the provisions over here. Clear, guys? I'll proceed to next question. So somebody wanted to read. I'll just unmute her. Aditi, you wanted to read. Aditi, I've unmuted you. Yeah, Aditi, read the third question for us.
Okay. X, Y, and Z are partners sharing the profits in the ratio of 3:4:1. X becomes bankrupt and Y and Z continued the business without settling accounts with his estate. X estate claims 3/8.
X's estate claims 3/8 of the profits made from the date of X's insolvency. Will the claim sustain?
Of the profits made from.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Aditi. Guys, go through the question. Take a minute time.
The date of X insolvency. Will this claim?
Aditi, I think there's some net issue at your end. It's fine. Okay. So question number 3, answer, guys. Can you give me the answer? I hope I'm audible. I don't know the net issue is from my end or from your end. If I'm audible, just type yes, guys. I just want to clarify once. Okay. So I'm yet to explain question number 3. Take 30 seconds to go through question number 3. Now here in this question number 3, they are testing the concept of subsequent profits. Subsequent profits. What they are saying here is when a partner leaves the firm. Now, what is the concept of subsequent profits? Whenever a partner leaves the firm, exits the firm, what are the various modes of exiting? Death of a partner, retirement of a partner, insolvency of a partner. In any way, if a partner is leaving the firm, then let's say this is the beginning of the financial year and this is the end of the financial year. And let's say this is the timeline. Now what happens? If I am leaving at this point, for this period, I have to be paid my profit share, correct? I have to be paid my profit share. So the outgoing partner of a firm has right to claim his profit share. However, that means his property, what money has to be paid to him. So you will settle him. Remember in your school, you would have done death, retirement, how amount to be paid to settlement for retiring partner. That amount you have to pay to outgoing partner. Very normal, correct? So the provision says, if you don't pay such money, then let's say you have to pay on this day. For the next 1 year, they have not paid the money. Now, assume I am supposed to get 10 lakhs. If I got 10 lakhs, what I will do? I will deposit in bank and earn interest. I am losing out on interest. Therefore, provision says you have a right to claim if they are not settling you after you leave. Right to claim subsequent profits after I leave also. After I leave also, the outgoing partner has right to claim subsequent profits if his settlement is not made. So he can claim subsequent profits or 6% or 6% of the, he can claim subsequent profits, or he can claim 6%. 6% of what? He can claim 6% of the amount that is due to him. So in this case, if you see, they are sharing in this ratio, X becomes bankrupt and Y and Z continue the business without settling accounts with his estate. So they did not settle the accounts. X's estate claims 3/8 of the profits made from the date of X's insolvency. Answer is yes. X's estate can claim the money, but X's estate cannot claim 3/8 because 3/8 is not 3 by 8 is not equal to 6%. You can only claim 6%. You can only claim 6%. So X's estate can claim 6% of the subsequent profits. Here we're testing the concept of subsequent profits. Did you all understand, guys, the question before I proceed? No, X won't be liable to the firm. He's just become bankrupt and is exiting the firm. If you see the question, firm is making profits, so he need not pay anything to the firm unless there is liability. So let's proceed to next question. Next, this is a direct question, guys, but very, very important for exam. In Partnership Act, if you ask me what is the most important question in Partnership Act, I will say it is the concept of minor. Concept of minor is very, very important. So this question, if you see, though minor cannot be a straight away direct question, guys, every alternate attempt, if you see the question paper, there will at least be 4 to 6 marks. Some question about minor, at least minor from Contract Act or minor from Partnership Act. Some question about minor will always be there. Very, very important. Please don't skip concept on minor. Though a minor cannot be a partner in a firm, he can nonetheless be admitted to benefits of partnership. They have just given a sentence. They're asking question. Referring to the provisions of Indian Partnership Act states the rights enjoyed by a minor partner. So rights of minor partner, I explained in the video, they are in textbook also. You will write direct question. Next, they're asking, state the liabilities of minor partner both before attaining majority, after attaining majority. He asked liabilities before, liabilities after. Clearly, I explained in the video also, which I shared with you. Plus, it is there in your textbook also. Straight away, direct question. Next, or you can write, state the legal position of a minor. See, guys, if a question comes like this, one is mandatory. In two, it's either A or B. State the legal position of a minor, of partner, after attaining majority, when he opts to become partner of the firm, when he decides not to become partner of the firm. I clearly explained the entire concept about minor in the video. I hope there are no doubts. This is a straightforward, direct question from textbook. I'll proceed from here. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Next, question number 5. Anybody who can read the question number 5? Ilavarsi, I'll unmute you. Can you read question 5?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Ilavarsi, go ahead.
Mr. M, Mr. N, and Mr. P were partners in a firm which was dealing in refrigerators. On 1st October 2018, Mr. P retired from partnership but failed to give public notice of his retirement. After his retirement, Mr. M, Mr. N, and Mr. P visited a trade fair and inquired about some refrigerators with latest techniques. Mr. X, who has exhibited his refrigerators with the new techniques, was impressed with the interactions of Mr. P and requested for the visiting card of the firm. The visiting card also included the name Mr. P as a partner, even though he had already retired. Mr. X supplied some refrigerator to the firm and could not recover his dues from the firm. Now, Mr. X wants to recover the dues not only from the firm but also from Mr. P. Analyze the above case in terms of the provisions of the Indian Partnership Act 1932 and decide whether Mr. P is liable in this situation.
Okay, thank you. Others, take a minute time, guys. Please go through the question. This relates to retirement of partner provision. So can I get the answer, guys? So many of them type the answer already. Correct. All of you got the correct answer. P is liable because he did not give public notice. Let me explain one more concept here. Some of you have given concept of holding out also. Very good. So now follow, guys. In case of retirement of partner, the basic concept is the partner who is retiring here, he should give a public notice. He has to give a public notice. He has not given a public notice. That is first point you have to write. Second point, in the trade fair they went. In the trade fair, Mr. P acted as the partner by giving visiting card. Obviously, assume you are Mr. X. You will think P is the partner because his name is there on the visiting card. Here, concept of holding out will come. Concept of holding out. So he is acting as if he is the partner of the firm here. Therefore, X wants to recover dues not only from the firm but also from P. Yes, he can absolutely recover the firm. He can absolutely recover the money. Sorry, he can absolutely recover the money. So there are two concepts. You have to write two provisions here, guys, not just one provision. First, you have to write in case of retirement, public notice is important. It's mandatory to be relieved from liabilities. Second case, you should also write partner by holding out, he is liable. So because of both the provisions, both are against the partnership firm and partner, he has to make the payment. Correct. Everybody is correct. Harshal, Eversi, Kushi, and whoever Darshita's answer. Yeah, everybody's answer is correct. Good. Simple question. Next, question number 6. I'll read question number 6. X, Y, and Z are partners in a partnership firm sharing profits and losses equally. Z dies and the firm is then dissolved. On the date of dissolution, the capitals of X, Y, and Z were 20,000, 15,000, and 10,000 respectively. And the outside liabilities were amounted to rupees 65,000. X advanced 10,000 as loan to the firm. Show how the realized amount will be utilized if the realized amount in the two cases 1,35,000 and 1,05,000. Take a minute time, guys. Please solve it. We'll discuss in a minute. Two cases, guys. First case, if the amount realized is 1,35,000. Second case, if amount realized is 1,05,000. Fairly simple problem, guys. So I'm getting answers. Harshal, correct. Harshal answer is correct. So follow, guys. Let me explain. See, first you have to pay out the external liabilities. What is external liabilities? 65,000 has to be paid. Next, you have to pay the loan given by partner. Even though it's partner, it is loaned by the partner. That you have to pay. So in both the cases, first you have to pay 65,000. Next, you have to pay 10,000, which comes to 75,000. Now, in the first case, 1,35,000 minus 75,000, you will get anybody amount. Is there any other amount to be paid? 1 second. Outside liabilities amounted to 65,000. X had advanced 10,000, correct. So 75,000. Therefore, you will have a balance of 60,000 after paying the outside liabilities. Now, the capitals of the partners were 20,000, 15,000, and 10,000. So if you add up the capitals, I will repay the capital also. 20,000 plus 15,000 plus 10,000. The total will come to 20, 30, 40, 45,000. So entire capital is also paid off, correct? After paying the capital, the firm has a surplus of how much? 15,000 is the surplus. 15,000 is the surplus. What to do with the surplus, guys? Anyone? The surplus will be shared between the partners equally. See, in the profit sharing ratio, it will be shared between the partners equally. 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, they will share it. This is the answer for case number 1. Fairly simple. Case number 2, what happens? After paying the first 75,000, follow guys, after paying 75,000, so 1,05,000 minus 65 plus 10,000, 75,000. The balance amount is only 30,000, correct? Is only 30,000. However, payment that has to be made is 45,000. Payment that has to be made is 45,000. 30,000 to 45,000. Now, can anybody give me the answer? Capital that I have to pay is 20,000, 15,000 and 10,000. That is totally 45,000. But I have only how much? 30,000. How do I give the money to these people? Answer, guys. Can I give the entire amount to first partner, or how do I give it? Is it equally, or how will they bear the loss? Now follow guys. Whenever there is going to be a deficit, you have to share the deficit in the capital ratio. Deficit will be shared in the ratio of capital ratio. So what is the capital ratio here? 20 is to 15 is to 10. 20 is to 15 is to 10. Therefore, if I in the split in the ratio 20 is to 15 is to 10, 30,000 should be split in the ratio 20 is to 15 is to 10. That is nothing but, if you simplify, it will be 4 is to 3 is to 2. Then you will get 13,333, 10,000 and 6,667. The balance will be shortfall. So everybody, each partner will take the shortfall. A will have a shortfall of around 6,607. B will have a shortfall of 5,000. C will have a shortfall of 3,333. Understood, guys? Have you all understood the concept here? Have you all understood, guys? Okay. Doubts I'll take in ending, guys. Let me proceed to the next question. How to write this in exam, I'll explain. Go to the next question before that. So we have question number 7 and 8. Guys, those who missed the answer, don't worry. I have already solved this question. So I will send the amount in group for you. Don't worry for this question. I'll send the amount. So you can just check your group. I have sent it in the group also, the breakup for this amount, how the working has been done. Now let us go to question number 7 and 8. Please go through question number 7 and 8. So some of them have asked me doubt, sir, which provision it is. I think Gaurav asked the doubt. I'll just. So it is section 48. This is concept is in section 48. Next. So question number 7, fairly simple question and again important for exam. A, B, C, D were partners in a partnership firm. One of the terms of the partnership deed was that A could introduce into partnership any of his sons on the attainment of 18. A's son had attained the age of 18 and he was proposed to be the made partner. C and D objected the same. Is their objection valid? Can A's son be admitted into the partnership is the question. So understand guys, in case of admission of a partner, if you see the concept admission, what they are saying is you can admit a partner only if the majority of the partners agree. Only if the majority of the partners agree. However, if you read the provision in the textbook, what is given, unless a contract or agreement to the contrary exists. They use the word unless a contract or agreement to the contrary exists. So they're saying normally majority of the partners should agree for admitting a new partner. However, if there is going to be an agreement against this, you can follow what is there in the agreement. Now, if you see here, A, B, C, and D were in partnership firm. One of the terms of the partnership deed, that means at the time of framing the partnership deed itself, one of the terms stated that A could introduce into partnership any of his sons when they turn 18, for which other partners B, C, and D would have agreed when the partnership deed was framed, and therefore A can admit his son as partner. Others cannot object his admission. I hope you guys have understood. Correct. Yeah, everybody gave me the answer. It can be a thing. Objection is void. They can admit the partner. Simple answer for question number 7. Let us proceed to question number 8. Can I have someone reading question number 8? Somebody was not read today. Ronak, can you read question number 8 for us? I'm unmuting you, but if there's any disturbance, let me know. Go ahead, Ronak.
P, X, Y, and Z are partners in a registered firm, A and Co. X died and P retired. Y and Z filed a suit against W in the name and on behalf of firm without notifying to the registrar of firms about the changes in the constitution of the firm. Is the suit maintainable? The second question, Ram, Mohan, and Gopal were partners in a firm. During the course of partnership, the firm ordered Sunrise Limited to supply a machine to the firm. Before the machine was delivered, Ram expired. The machine, however, was later delivered to the firm. Thereafter, the remaining partners became insolvent and the firm failed to pay the price of the machine to Sunrise Limited. Explain with reasons whether Ram's private estate is liable for the price of the machine purchased by the firm. Against whom can the creditor obtain a decree for the recovery of the price?
Yeah, so take a minute time, guys. Please go through the question. Take a minute time, guys. Previous question, some of them have asked me. Question number 6, sir, where is the provision for this in textbook? Provision is there in section 48. For those who want reference. Others can go through question number 8. Take a minute time. Please go through it. Give me the answer. So the answer for first question, see, if you see the facts of the question 8A, what they are saying, everybody got the correct answer. 8A, yes, suit. First, let me give you a conclusion. Is the suit maintainable? Absolutely, yes. What is happening? The firm is already a registered firm, but because of one partner X has died and P has left the firm, there is reconstitution of the firm. There is reconstitution of the firm. They forgot to inform the registrar about this reconstitution and they filed a suit against the third party. Here, the third party's name, they have not third party W. They're asking, is the suit maintainable? Yes, the suit is maintainable. Later, after filing the suit, you can intimate the registrar. There is no issue. Just because you forgot to intimate the registrar because of reconstitution, suit will not be non-maintainable. Suit will be maintainable. This is answer for question number 8.1. Let me check the answers you guys have given. Yes, Anu answer is correct. Darshita, no. Then Soumya, correct answer. Yes. Now let me go to second part of the question. See, second part, what they're saying. Ram and Gopal were partners. Suit will not be maintainable. No, suit will not be maintainable, but the firm is not even registered. If the firm was never registered, then the suit will not be maintainable. No. Ram, Gopal, and Mohan were partners in the firm. During the course of partnership, the firm ordered Sunrise Limited to supply a machinery to the firm. Before the mission was delivered, Ram died. One of the partners died. The mission, however, was later delivered to the firm. Thereafter, the remaining partners became insolvent and the firm failed to pay the price of the machinery to Sunrise Limited. Whether Ram's private estate is liable for the price of the machinery purchased, against whom can the creditor obtain a decree? That is the question. So take a minute time, guys. So follow, guys. Now, first question. No, first let me see. For the thing is, let us first finish knock off whether the remaining partners who became insolvent will be liable. Now, who are the remaining partners? Mohan and Gopal. Mohan and Gopal have become insolvent. Mohan and Gopal have become insolvent. Insolvent means what? They are not having the money. So, the third party here, the company, what is the company's name? Sunrise Limited can sue. Sunrise Limited can sue the partners in individual capacity. Mohan and Gopal, it can sue them. However, they don't have money to pay. Therefore, you can sue them, but they don't have money to pay. So if you get the money, it's your luck. Second, you can also sue the firm. You can also sue the firm. Firm will have its own personal assets and liabilities. Firm will be dissolved and that money can be paid to Sunrise Limited if any money is available. So answer for second question, against whom the creditor can obtain decree for recovery of the price, he can file a suit and obtain decree against Mohan and Gopal, but they were insolvent. So if they're able to pay, they will pay. Otherwise, he will not receive any money, and against the assets of the firm. First case, whether Ram's private assets is liable to the price of the machinery purchased by the firm. Answer is no. Absolutely no. Let me explain this. Now, what happens when a partner dies? Let me explain clearly, guys. What happens when a partner dies? So, let's say partner died on this day. The minute partner dies, the remaining partners, Mohan and Gopal, have to settle this partner if they have to pay to the partner, or the death partner will settle the firm if there's any money. You have done sums in school, death of a partner. So as on this day, a settlement will happen between the death partner and the remaining partners. Either the death partner's legal representatives will pay money to MNG, or MNG will pay money to the death partner if there's any liability. After this, the partner who died, even his personal estate will not be liable for future liabilities. His liability is only towards the other partners. His liability is only towards the other partners for liability to be paid to firm. So here, Ram's private estate is liable for the price of machinery purchased by the firm. Answer is no. Ram's estate, in this case, it will not be liable for the price of the machinery purchased. Did you guys understand? Should I explain again? Now I'll explain again, guys. I'll explain again. People had doubt, so just give me a moment. I'll go to the whiteboard and explain. Now follow, guys. The provision says, if you read section 35, which talks about death of a partner, it says, let's say this is the timeline, and let's say partner is dying at this point. Now, partner died, his personal property, his estate, his property will be liable. I'll explain both the parts of the question, guys. Just give me a moment. His property will be liable only for those acts which were done during the time in which he was a partner. During the time in which he was a partner. Here, he was partner only in this time. During the time, this time acts, he will be liable. Now, the machinery was delivered after he died. Machinery was delivered after he died. Now, if you go read Sale of Goods Act, and if you see Contract Act, a contract comes to an end after the good is delivered, after risk and rewards are transferred from the seller to the buyer. Here the buyer is partnership firm. Now let's say, I hope you can see the screen. So at this point he died. So he's liable only for these acts. This act of delivery took place after his death, and therefore his personal property will not be liable. And also the partner who died, he will be liable only to the other partners, and he will be liable to the firm only if there's any liability as on the date of his death. When he died, what was the liability on that date? That is what you have to see. This is point number 1. So Ram's estate will not be liable. If you see point number 2, whom can the company sue? That Sunrise Limited. It's Sunrise only, right? Just let me check. Yeah, whom can Sunrise Limited sue? Therefore, Sunrise Limited cannot sue the death partner. What are the other options they have? Mohan. They have option to sue either Mohan or Gopal. Option to sue Mohan or Gopal. Now, Mohan and Gopal both have become insolvent. Both have become insolvent. Meaning what? They are not having the money to pay to anybody. They are not having money. They have become insolvent. So you can sue them. You can absolutely sue them. But whether you will receive the money is a question mark. Whether you will receive the money is a question mark. Even if they don't pay, you cannot sue them because you cannot do anything because they are insolvent. It is like, I'll give you an example. Today, Vijay Mallya has to pay something close to 10,000 crores to banks. If he declares himself as insolvent tomorrow, banks cannot do anything. They cannot recover the money. That is the same case here. So what he can do, he can sue the partners. Sunrise Limited can also sue the firm. If the firm has any assets which are more than the liabilities, then the firm will use that money to make the payment. This is the concept in this question. I hope you guys have understood now. Have you guys understood now? So Harshal is asking a good question. I'm repeating questions which are good. If there are assets of the firm, can the creditor recover the money from those assets? If the rest are insolvent, yes. If the partners are insolvent, obviously, see, creditor can recover from two people. One is from the partner, one is from the firm. If firm is not having money, you will go to the partner. If partner is not having the money, you will go to the firm. Problem will be if both the firm and partner are not having the money, then you cannot do anything. In this case, they have clearly mentioned partners have become insolvent. So Sunrise Limited's only hope is firm should have some money. Can I proceed, guys? I think most of them have got it. Kritika has understood. For this question, I also have the key. What is the actual answer given by ICAI? See, one more good doubt from one student. What if the realized value is less? See, if the realized value is less, if you realized less than what is supposed to be paid, let's say you have to pay them 100 rupees, but you realized only 80, then you will pay them 80. They have to bear the loss of 20. You can't do anything. It is a loss for them. It is just their bad luck. That's it. So again, what if you have other creditors? What if there are multiple creditors? If you realized 80, but there are multiple creditors, then you will pay them in the ratio of their creditors. Priority wise, you will pay them. That's all. So let me proceed to next question. Okay, so we are now in question number 9 and 10. For this question, for question number 8, I will also share the answer key, how it looks in the ICAI suggested answer. I'll share in the group. So don't worry about that. You will get an idea how to present an exam. Now question number 9 and 10. Let's read question number 9 and 10. I hope you guys have understood, guys, because I got from 3 to 4 students, it's clear. If there are any more doubts in the same question, we'll take in the end of the class. Don't worry. Let's proceed to question number 10. The reason why I'm proceeding is out of 20 students, 3 to 4 might not understand, but the remaining might understand. So I don't want to waste time for others. Now, next, take a minute time, guys. Please go through question number 9, 10, and 11. We will discuss question number 9, 10, and 11 together. I'm presenting the question. Please go through the question 9, 10, and 11. So let me start discussing, guys. I think there's sufficient time for 3 questions. All three are fairly simple question. Let me go one by one. Most of them are getting the correct answers. Ilavarshi, Darshita, Ronak, Soumya, correct. So first one, X is a renowned sportsman assuming the honorary presidentship of a publishing business, bringing out a sports magazine because of other partners requested him to do so. A supplier gave credit to the firm in bona fide belief that X was a partner of the firm. Is X liable? Absolutely yes. What is the concept here? Everybody got the correct concept. Concept by partner by holding out or partner by estoppel. Believing him to be a partner. So answer is yes. So everybody gave the correct answer. Question number 10. A, B, and C are partners in a firm. As per terms of the partnership, follow guys, as per terms. Now remember guys, in Partnership Act alone, unlike other acts, any agreement, any terms can be made between the partnership, which is different from the act, because throughout the Partnership Act, the act is giving what is the actual provision, but they also give a word unless a contrary to the above exists. So you can make terms and change any terms between the partners. A is entitled to 20% of the partnership property and profits. His share of profits is 20% of partnership profits and property. A retires from the firm and dies after 15 days. B and C continue the business of the firm without settling the accounts. What are the rights of A's legal representatives? Now, again, section 37, which says subsequent profits, it says what section 37 says is first, pay them the settlement of accounts at or 6% of the amount that is due, unless they make an agreement for themselves. Here the agreement is made is 20% of the money, 20% of partnership property. Therefore, A's representative can sue for 20% of the partnership property. For this answer, Kritika correct, Soumya correct, Lavarsi correct, Darshita correct, Ronak correct. Yeah, everybody get Kushi also correct answer. Yes, correct answers. So question number 9 and 10, fairly simple. Let's go to next question. Kriti also correct. Yeah, question number 11. A, B, and C are partners in a partnership firm. In a meeting, all the three had a disagreement and post which they decided not to interact with each other. The employees did not get salary because there was no operation for few months because of the disagreement. The employees seek your advice. Can you guys give me answer? Nobody has given me answer for 11. I'll give you 15 seconds. Last question, guys. Part of your syllabus. Don't think it's not there. Yeah, Soumya gave the answer. Darshita, oh, I missed your answer. Sorry. So Darshita has given the answer that there's disagreement. They should pay the answer. Sorry, they should pay the salary. But what is the reason for that? Reason Soumya is not Soumya. Yeah, Soumya base has given the correct answer. Now Harini also has given the correct answer. Very good. I want the exact term, guys. If this term is not there, see, all of you are giving the correct answer. See, all of you are giving employee seeks your advice. Yes, salary has to be paid. Salary has to be paid. No doubt in that. See, everybody are telling me salary has to be paid. In exam, if this question comes for 4 marks, if you write yes, salary has to be paid, you will not get more than 1. Which provision is tested here? Which concept is tested here? Some of them got the correct answer. I don't want to give the answer. Some of you got it. No, not implied authority. What is the provision that is tested over here? What is the consequence? Now, what will happen? See, salary will be paid, but now what will happen to the firm? See, I've given you a clue also, guys. A, B, and C are partners in a partnership firm. The three had a disagreement. Disagreement. This is the clue for you. Think about it. This question is there in Unit 3. Yeah, correct. Anu, correct answer. So what will happen now? The solution is dissolution of the firm. Dissolve the firm. If you see provisions for dissolve of the firm, one of the last points says if there is going to be a deadlock in the management, deadlock in management. If you've seen the word deadlock in the management or mismanagement where partners are not talking to each other, they have some issues, then you can apply to the court. Court will see if this is a just and equitable ground. If it is a just and equitable ground, Yes, there is deadlock in management and it is a just an equitable ground. If you see in the provision, just an equitable ground. Therefore, the firm will be dissolved and salary will be paid to employees. Have you guys understood? Have you understood question number 11? If you see what provision this provision will be in section 44. 44 of your textbook, page number, I'll just check and tell you, just give me a moment. I don't know if you, just a second, I'm just trying to find the page number. Yeah, page number 3.47. If you see dissolution of firm in case of just and equitable grounds, under that, can you see one first point? There are 4 points in textbook. Page number 3.48. Deadlock in management where the partners are not in talking terms between them, loss of substratum, gambling by a partner on stock exchange. These 4 points are considered as just and equitable grounds because of which firm can be dissolved. Partners here, if you see here, they had a disagreement, post which they decided not to interact with each other. This is the answer. I hope you guys have understood the question. See, this question was last tested in exam sometime in 1995, I think, or in 2005 or sometime, very long back. See, I'll tell you the reason why we are discussing even these important questions. See, I'll give you the background. If you see in CA, until a few years back, until 2 years back, we had only CPT route, that foundation MCQ route for law also. So all these questions were not tested. But before that, before 2010, if you see, before 2010, 2008 before, it was again called CA foundation. They used to write. That time, all these questions were tested in exams. So again, there is a very chance that in the next 5 years, they will start testing these questions. And this is very much part of your syllabus. This is there in page number 3.47. So you need to be clear with these concepts. Understood, guys? So with this, we are done with all the 11 questions. I will also present the question. I just found the answer for that. The death of a partner. I'll just give me a moment. I'll present that for you to see the answer. And then we'll take up doubts now. Just give me a moment. We'll take up doubts also. Just a moment, guys. I just found that answer on. I'll just present it for you. The Ram's estate question, many of you had confusion. I wanted to be very clear for you guys. So I picked the answer from ICAI study mat. I'm just presenting it for you guys, so you can have a look at it. So this is the answer I'm presenting on screen. Answer for question number 8. Question number 8.1 and 8.2. What is that? An ICAI study past exam question. So you can read. I'll just zoom in a bit, or you can zoom it yourself. Yeah, question number 8. This is question number 8. So you can read question number. I think question number 8.1 was simple, but 8.2 many of you had a doubt. So you can go through question number 8. This is the answer. Does somebody want to read the question? I'll just unmute Darshita, let her read, and then we'll go for the doubt session after this. Yeah, Darshita, you can read.
Yes, sir. Sir, shall I read the question number 8?
No, just the answer. You can see
Yes,
here.
sir. Just
Part
a
2
second.
alone. I think part 1 is simple. You can just read part 2.
Yeah, sir. Okay. Partnership liability. The problem in question is based on the provisions of the Indian Partnership Act 1932 contained in section 35. The section provides that where under a contract between the partners, the firm is not dissolved by the death of a partner, the estate of a deceased partner is not liable for any act of the firm done after his death. Therefore, considering the above provisions, the problem may be answered as follows. First, Ram's estate in this case will not be liable for the price of the machinery purchased. Second, the creditors in this case can have only a personal decree against the surviving partners and decree against the partnership assets in the hands of those partners. However, since the surviving partners are already insolvent, no suit for recovery of the debt would lie against them. A suit for goods sold and delivered would not lie against the representative of the deceased partner. This is because there was not debt due in respect of the goods in Ram's lifetime.
I hope you guys have understood this. So now one more important
But
thing.
so I have a
Yeah,
doubt in this question. Can I
yeah.
ask?
Yes, yes.
So the purchase of the machinery was decided before Ram's death. So he is liable, right?
Correct. So now you think about the book entry. When will the firm pass the entry in the books? After the good is delivered or before the good is delivered?
After.
Correct. So when liability in the book will arise after his death only, right? So what is
Yeah.
entry? Very simple entry. Purchase account debit, or you're purchasing machinery. So you'll write
Machinery
machinery account debit to vendor. Who's the vendor
cash.
here? I think Sunrise Limited. Or to cash.
Yeah. Sunrise.
Cash if it's immediate payment, to Sunrise Limited if you're creating liability. This entry will be passed only after machinery is delivered, correct? So the
Yes, sir.
liability in the books are coming after machinery is delivered, and then when machinery is delivered, the partner is already dead. Clear, guys?
Okay, so but even if he has purchased, or sorry, he has made the purchase before his death, he is not liable since it is not received.
Correct. But let's say if there are facts in the question which says entry is already passed, liability is already created in the books, then his assets will be liable. Personal assets will be liable.
Okay, so for that, so they will mention in the question, right?
Yes, yes. So to be honest, this question in exam is a difficult question. Like if you see, there are 3 types of question: easy, medium, and difficult. In my view, in every exam, out of your 60 marks in law, expect at least 10 to 15 marks maximum to be difficult questions. This is one such question. It is a difficult question.
Okay, sir. So since I'm unmute, can I ask my doubts now?
Yeah, just 1 second. I'll just communicate few more things and then we'll start with the doubts. You can stay on unmute. No issues. First thing, guys, next class, I'm going to take up Companies Act. So next class will be on Friday. I just want to give information. Companies Act will be the next class. It will be on Friday, but just a small request. On Friday, can we meet at 4 p.m. instead of 6 p.m.? Are you all okay? Can you just type is 4 p.m. okay for
Yes,
you all?
sir.
Instead of 6 to 8, 4 to 6. That's all. I'll send the video today itself for a Companies Act. Is 4 p.m. fine with all of you? Or if 4 is difficult, I can make it 4:30. Because at 6, I might have to go out for small work. Yeah. I think 90% of you have already, except Gaurav, everybody are okay with it. Perfect. We'll meet at 4. So that's it. That is what we are discussing in today's class. So if you see, we are done with Contract Act. We are done with Partnership Act. Indian Contract Act and Partnership Act is over. We still have Companies Act, LLP, and Sale of Goods Act. I will take them in the same way how we took these 3 chapters. So that's it, guys. Now we can start with the doubts. Yeah, Darshita, you can ask your doubts and then I'll proceed with other doubts. Others who are done with the class have no issues, you can stay or leave, and now I'll take up doubts. So Darshita is already on unmute. Let her finish her doubts. Next I'll go to Gaurav and then I'll go to Anu. They raise their hands. Go ahead, Darshita.
So the question which I didn't understand is question number 3, subsequent profits part.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, what is the doubt in this?
Sir, I didn't understand that the claim is sustainable. The claim can be sustained, right?
Yes, see, no, see here, what happens is, if you see what she's asking here, the partners are sharing profits in the ratio. Wait, I'll just present the question again.
3:4:1.
Yeah, 3:4:1, which is nothing but 3:4:1, which is nothing but 3 plus 4 plus 1 is 8. So X only died. So they're asking 3/8. 3/8 breakup is nothing but his profit share. They're asking his profit share.
Yeah, sir.
Okay. So now if you read section 37, let me just take it in the book. 1 second. I'll just find that. Section 37. Yeah, it is in page number 3.36. It says right of outgoing partner in certain cases to share subsequent profits. They are saying where any member of the firm has died or otherwise ceased to be a partner and the surviving continuous partners carry on the business of the firm with the property of the firm without any final settlement of accounts as between them and the outgoing partner of his estate, then in the absence of a contract, no, this word is important. Then in the absence of contract to the contrary, if you see in textbook 3.36, very important. comma, in the absence of contract to the contrary, the outgoing partner or his estate is entitled at the option of himself or his representatives to such share of profits made since he ceased to be a partner as may be attributable to use of his share in the property of the firm, or interest at the rate of 6% per annum on the amount of his share in the property of the firm. So here they are saying he has option to claim 6% of the amount that has to be settled to him, or such share of profits made since he ceased to be a partner as may be attributed to the use of his share in the property. So there are two options: profits which are made from date of insolvency, or 6% amount. One of these two can be claimed. This is what the provision says. Clear? So now X's estate claims 3/8 of the profits, which is nothing but X's share. So she can claim profits or 6% of the amount at their option. Claim will sustain. Yes. Understood, Darshita?
Okay, sir. Uh, yeah, sir, I understand.
Okay.
But sir, we can just minus the amount which he is unable to pay, like he becomes bankrupt, right?
In this question, third question.
Yeah, yeah, sir. Even if he's bankrupt, why to give the share?
No, see, that's what, if you read the provision carefully, it says where any member, see the first line of the provision, where any member of the firm has died or otherwise ceased to be a partner. Meaning what? He has stopped being a partner. That is, he's leaving the partnership firm. What are the ways in which you can leave the partnership firm? Death or retirement or insolvency, correct? So insolvency is one mode of exiting the partnership firm. Therefore, you will
Okay, so
get the
since
share.
he's exiting, we have to give him the
Yeah,
share.
correct.
Okay, and I have doubt in the partner is retiring should give public
So you see in this
notice.
book itself, they were given, I think the same example is there in the book also, next page, ABC or page number 3.37. Same question actually, I didn't see this. ABC are partners in a manufacture of machinery. A is entitled to 3/8 of partnership. A becomes bankrupt. So they're asking the answer over here. They're saying C is entitled to recover the same.
Okay, sir. So the next doubt which I have is question number 9. So Mr. X was a partner, so why will he be liable to the supplier?
Question number?
Question number 9.
Okay, question number 9. Yeah, what's the doubt here?
So Mr. X is a renowned sportsman.
Yeah, got it. What's the doubt here?
So the doubt is that why is Mr. X liable to the supplier?
Because he's a partner by holding out.
Sir, is it specified in the partnership deed?
No. See, it is not specified in partnership deed. Understand what is the concept of partnership by holding out. You are actually not a partner. As per partnership deed, you are not a partner. But you are acting as if you are a partner. You are acting as if you are a partner of the firm. So people believe you are a partner and they transact with the firm as if you are a partner. So you will be liable just like other partners. That is the concept of partner by holding out or partner by estoppel.
Okay.
Let's say I'll
So
give a
he
small
is liable.
example. A, B, and C are partners in our restaurant. Let's say Darshita D is helping her friends to run the business. So every day, since let's say your exams are over, you are free for next 2 months until results. So you go to your friend's restaurant who has just recently started a restaurant. Every day you help them in running the business. You take orders over there. You help customers sit and all of that. So all the customers are thinking you are also a partner over there. So they will treat you just like other partners. Other partners also, your friends also are not telling expressly to the customers that Darshita is not a partner. So partner by holding out meaning you are presenting as if you are a partner and others are also believing you are a partner. That is the concept this is the concept. Understood?
But that's not my mistake, right? If ABC does something wrong, then why will I be liable to pay?
You will not be liable for their acts. See here, look at this wording. A supplier gave credit to the firm in bona fide belief that X was the partner. So if somebody is transacting with the firm thinking you are the partner, so you are acting in such a way, you're acting as if you're the partner. So you have to clearly communicate before itself that you are not a partner, you're only a friend helping them. If you don't do that, if other partners take your advantage saying you're also a partner, then you have to pay the liability.
So, then Mr. X cannot claim the money which he has paid to the
From the
supplier.
other
He cannot
partners.
claim it from the other partner.
No, he cannot claim it. See, that is again a
Okay,
personal
sir.
issue between X and the other partners. They have to sort that out. Here, the third party has liability to claim the money from X. That is the concept here. Understood, Darshita?
Okay, sir. So I'm done with my doubts. Thank you so much.
So next I'll go with Gaurav and then I'll go with, yeah, go ahead Gaurav, I'm unmuting you.
So can you tell me
Sorry Gaurav, I can't hear
answer
you.
the 10th question?
Yeah,
So
10th question, yes. Yes, go ahead.
10th question. Yeah.
What's the doubt in 10th question?
Yes, sir. So when you were discussing at that time.
You want me to explain it again? Sorry Gaurav, I can't hear you. Can you type?
Yes, sir.
I explain it again, is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll explain it again. Now, follow very carefully, guys. Kushi, I'll come to your doubt next. Let me finish this. A, B, and C are partners in a firm. As per the terms of the partnership deed, A is entitled to 20% of the partnership property and profits. So A's share is 20%. A retires from the firm and dies after 15 days. B and C continue business of the firm without settling accounts. What are the rights of A's legal representatives? Very simple. They can claim share of profits or 6% of the estate. 6% of the estate. Here, share of profits is 20%. Therefore, they can claim the share of profits of 20%. Understood, Gaurav? Again, this concept is in section 37, page number 3.36. Did you understand, Gaurav?
Sir.
Yeah.
So then, can you explain the third question? I had the same doubt. Third question.
Yeah, third question. See, third question is also the same thing, same concept. Here they're asking, instead of 20%, can they claim 3/8 of share? If 3/8 of the share is equal to your profit share, it is if this is equal to profit share, then you can claim. So it will be profit or 6% of subsequent profits. Here 3/8, let's do the computation. 3 plus 4 plus 1. So the share of X is 3/8. So profit or 6% at the option of the estate that can be claimed.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Next answer. Next doubt. Anybody else? Wait. Whom should I unmute now? Gaurav is done. Kushi had a doubt. Point D of question number 1. Let me quickly finish that. Point D. Every partner cannot take part in conduct of the business. Answer is false. Every partner can take part in conduct of the business. Next, Anu, I'm unmuting her. 1 second. Yes, Anu. I've unmuted you. Just see if you can unmute and ask your doubt. Anu, just click on unmute. No, you have to click on unmute button. It will work for you now. Anu, are you not there in the class? So Kushi, for your thing, see, every partner cannot take part in the conduct of business. Normally, if you're a normal active partner, you have the right to take part in conduct of business unless you're a sleeping or dormant partner. Correct. So Ronak has a doubt. Priority of repayment of money. See, Ronak, priority, first you have to pay all the liabilities. Then you will pay I will explain this repayment order. It is again there in textbook, page number 3.49, section 48. So first you have, section 48. First you have to pay all the liabilities of the firm. Then you have to pay all, if any partner has given any advance and all, then the capital and then the other money. Fairly simple. Anu, I've unmuted you, but you're not able to, I'm not hearing you. So just click on unmute now, Anu. I'm trying to unmute you. You have to manually click on unmute now. Yeah, go ahead, Anu.
Theory.
Yeah. What is the doubt, Anu?
So the fourth point of minus up 2.10.
Sorry, your voice is breaking. Can you repeat again?
The fourth point of minus, which is on page number 3.30.
Okay, one second. I'll take the page number 3.30. Which point? Fourth point, is it?
Fourth point of minor, yes, sir.
Okay. So let me explain that. So they're saying minor admitted to benefits of partnership, section 30. So the fourth point reads as follows. Such minor may not sue the partners for an account or payment of his share of property or profits of the firm, save when serving his connection with the firm. In such case, the amount of his share should be determined in valuation made as far as possible in accordance with the rules in section 48. Provided that all the partners acting together and partners entitled to dissolve the firm upon notice of may dissolve the firm, thereupon court shall proceed with the suit for dissolution of the firm. Very simple over here. What they're saying, see, minor generally has a right to sue the partners for the books of accounts. However, where the firm is going to dissolve, in case of dissolution of the firm because of court order, because court is giving for order for dissolution, then minor need not sue for dissolution of the firm, because when firm goes into dissolution, automatically dissolution books of accounts will be handed over to a third party known as a liquidator, who will take care of the dissolution and he will give all the money to whom it is duly going. So minor generally has right to sue for accounts. Exception is in case of dissolution, he will not sue because court has given the order. So I'll just type out the answer, Anu. In fourth point says, in case of dissolution of firm, then minor may not sue the books of account. Dissolution by order of the court. Is a doubt clear, Anu? I've unmuted you. Anybody else has a doubt? Yeah, go ahead, Anu.
Yes, sir. The sixth point in the same page, sir.
Sixth point in the same page. Just a second.
Yes, sir.
So they're saying, see what they're saying here is, where any person has been admitted as a minor to the benefits of partnership in a firm, the burden of proving the fact that such person had no knowledge of such admission until a particular date after the expiry of 6 months of attaining a majority shall lie on the person asserting the fact. Very simple, Anu, I'll explain. Let's say in 2005, let's say when you were, assume you were 5 years old, you were admitted into a partnership firm as a minor. Now,
Okay, sir.
when you are a minor and admitted as a partner in a partnership firm and you're 5 years old, do you know about this?
No.
No, correct? Somebody has to tell you about this. Now, what is the act saying? Once you turn 18, once you become a major, you will become a partner in the partnership firm within 6 months, correct?
Yes, sir.
What is the provision over there? I explained in the video also. It is within 6 months, from the date of attaining majority, or 6 months from the date on which you have knowledge that you have become a partner in this partnership firm. Now, is it highly possible that when you turned 18, you did not know you were a partner here, but only after 4 years, let's say when your age is 22, that time somebody told you that only that time you knew you were a partner? Highly possible.
Yes, sir.
So the act is saying within 6 months from the time when you turn 18, or within 6 months from the time when you knew you were a partner in partnership firm. Let's say in this case, you knew you were a partner only when your age was 22. So from 6 months from the age of 22. 6 months from age of 22. Now, who has to prove this? Normally, everybody will think when you were 18, you knew about this. You have to prove that for the next 4 years, I did not know about this. The burden of proving this is at your end.
So, but how can we say that I don't know about this?
Because
as if I were a partner.
Correct. See, let's say, for example, when you were small, when you were 5 years old, somebody took you as a partner, as beneficial partner in some firm. You did not know about that time. How will you know when you're 18? Correct. Nobody has told you about
Yes.
it, so you won't know, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Correct? No, practically.
Sir, but if I know about this in the age of 16, then should I wait for? Should I wait till majority?
Correct. If you know when the age of 16, you must wait until 18. Then after
Yes.
18, within the next 6 months, you have to give your consent if you want to continue or if you want to discontinue in this partnership form.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the fourth point, you said that they have no right to sue for accounts or payment.
No. They have the right to sue. Normally, minor can sue for books of accounts. Minor
Okay,
can
sir.
sue. But if the firm is going into dissolution because of order of court,
Yes.
then he cannot sue for books of accounts.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay. And the minor part, if you still have doubt, just watch the video. I've explained very clearly over there, detailedly about
Yes,
minor.
yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Did you actually understand, or you're just saying now you understood?
Yes, really, I understood.
Okay, good. Any other
Sir,
doubts? Yeah, go ahead.
can you understand the second pair of the right of outgoing partner, which is in page 3.36
3.36, second para.
of right of outgoing partner in certain cases, provided that
Provided that there is a contract between the partners, an option is given to surviving or continuous partner to purchase the interest of deceased partner. The option is duly exercised. The estate of the deceased partner or the outgoing partner of his estate, as the case may be, is not entitled to further share of profits. But if any partner assuming to act in excess of the option does not in all material respects comply with the terms thereof, he is liable to account under the foregoing provisions. Very simple. Where they are saying school they would have solved sums, correct? In case of death of a
yes, sir.
partner, you will settle the let's say A, B, and C are three partners. Let's say the share is 50%, 25%, and 25%. Okay.
Okay,
Now,
sir.
if C is leaving death of partner, his share of 25% can be purchased by A. Now A will become how much? 75%. B will
75.
still be 25%. That they are saying here in second paragraph. If other partners agree, you can purchase the share of the death partner. That's all.
So that if he sold the shares, then he cannot claim any rights, sir.
Correct, because he's selling his 25% share to other
Shares.
partners. Then he will get money, because if you're buying his
Yes.
share, you will pay money to the death partner.
Money to him.
That's
Yes,
all.
sir.
Then he will not claim any money. That's all.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the eighth question, you have said that insolvent the creditor can also sue insolvent partner.
Yes, see, he can sue insolvent partner, but he cannot get any money. What is the point? See, he can sue. If at all, if he's having any money, he will pay, or else he will not get any money. That's all.
Should we write as if, sir? He
Yes.
can sue insolvent partner, but he cannot
The
claim any amount.
the entire conclusion is, even if you sue him, you will not get a money. That's why they have
Yes,
given
sir.
the answer that you will not recover the money because they are already insolvent. But if they have money,
Yes.
they can pay. But the main thing is, once you become insolvent, you will not have 1 rupee also in pocket. Only then you will be
Yes.
called insolvent.
Yes, sir. So can we write simply as he can sue only the firm's assets?
Yes, and you also write, see, he has the right to sue the insolvent partners,
Insolvent partner.
but
Yes.
he will not recover any money because the partners are insolvent.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt, Anu?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. That's it, guys. Thank you for attending the class. We'll meet in the next class.